How's it going, everyone? Again, here to talk about this Microsoft news, and I think there's so many layers to this story, and it's something that we're going to be talking about all year long. And the gaming world is reacting quite negatively to Microsoft as a whole, a company with so much money, acquiring so many major publishers in a Bethesda, in an Activision, and now shutting down some incredibly talented studios that have brought you some great games. Think what you want of Arcane Austin, and I don't know why I get myself into the weeds of the Twitter and the X dialogue, but sometimes I'm just like, yo, I want to hear some crazy tweets, and I want to hear some crazy takes, so I am aware of some Xbox fanboy Twitter accounts that I'm just like, yo, I'm sure they're saying some wild things about this and trying to figure out a way to defend it, and I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but I just go there to humor myself, and sometimes I think those are just troll accounts, those fanboy accounts are just troll accounts and they're engagement farming or whatever, and more power to you. You got me looking at you because sometimes it's a crazy take. But in particular, and obviously this is a very small amount of people defending the shutting down of Arcane Austin because they just put out Redfall, completely forgetting that Redfall was a live servicey title, or at least a game that was projected to be a live servicey game, potentially something that ZeniMax kind of threw on to Arcane Austin. And of course, Arcane Austin, prior to Redfall, did one of the best games of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One generation in Prey, and look up that Twitter account. There's another Twitter account that's like countdown to the Prey 2 announcement, and it is tremendous. Like, not tremendous in the sense that Prey 2 is never gonna happen, at least not from Arcane Austin, but quite insane how much engagement that Twitter account got after the closure. But nevertheless, this is an absolute crap show, and I think the majority of people are absolutely and rightfully crapping on Microsoft. And I feel like some of you guys think I'm not being that hard on Microsoft. Yo, Microsoft is taking a huge L here. There's no other way to spin it. And I feel like I have been pretty transparent with my thoughts on Game Pass as a whole. Obviously, Game Pass, I have said in previous videos that it is very questionable the long-term viability of a service like Game Pass. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I am not a business expert, but what I always said is in the present moment, Game Pass offered an incredible value to the consumer, and that's why I said, yo, Game Pass is insane. But that's why I also said I never expected PlayStation Plus Extra to be at the level of Game Pass. But not to go on a tangent, it was a great value for the consumer, but I think we're also seeing how it does affect the long-term viability of these studios. At the same time, I would think that Game Pass would open the door for studios to be more risk-taking, for games like Hi-Fi Rush to come to existence, and maybe for a while that was the case, but Game Pass, much like every other subscription service, it follows the same story. What happens? Game Pass started off at an incredible price point, $9.99 a month or whatever, with incredible value. So many games, such crazy value, and ultimately, it doesn't matter how much you raise that value. At some point, a subscription service, just like all of the other subscription services, will hit a ceiling. There are only so many people that are willing to sign up for a video game subscription service. And at that point, once you've hit that ceiling, once you've stagnated, PS Plus Extra has done this, Game Pass has done this, but PS Plus Extra, since it's just a secondary business to PlayStation, it is not their core business. It's just something extra they have. Game Pass is the core, is the heart of Xbox these days. Once they hit that ceiling, oh, it's trouble in paradise. If you hit that ceiling and you're not making a return on that investment, if you're not profitable yet or widely profitable with Game Pass, what do you do at that point? Well, the first thing you do is you raise the price point of Game Pass. You raise the price point of the subscription service, and that's what happened with pretty much every other subscription service. You look at Netflix, you look at all of the other subscription services, ESPN Plus, I think, like, that's one that, you know, isn't the biggest subscription service in the world, but that thing started off at like $4.99 a month, and I think it's up to $9.99 a month now. Literally doubled in price. Game Pass is gonna follow the same story, guys. It's already seen one price increase, but not only do you do the price increase, what do you do after that? The value proposition doesn't correlate with that price increase. In fact, generally speaking, to get yourself more profitable, the value proposition will actually decline because they don't want to spend as much money to offer you that value. At some point, you're gonna reach trouble with a subscription service like that, and that's what you're seeing now, where these subscription services have kind of hit their ceiling. PS Plus Extra, real quick, went and upped their price. I wouldn't say the value proposition with that increase. Same thing with the Game Pass. Game Pass went up in price, and I would say the value proposition is still very good. Don't get me wrong, like, Game Pass is still an incredible value, but the expectation that you're gonna consistently get Microsoft throwing just tons and tons of money to add content to Game Pass, maybe they will, but at some point you do have to assess the business, their business model of Game Pass, and being like, how do we make this a long-term viable business solution? And I guess from their standpoint, you know, spending a lot of money on titles like Redfall and Arcane Austin doesn't make a lot of sense. Tango Gameworks is the craziest one because they have delivered 4 back-to-back-to-back-to-back excellent games, or very good games, and they got shut down. At this point, what does that even mean? And there was a tweet that came out coming from somebody that I'll butcher the pronunciation of their tweet, but obviously incredibly relevant. They tweeted out things that will no longer keep you safe in this industry: a good game, a profitable game, a viral game, a big publisher, a small publisher, a big team, a small team, a rich parent company, an ethical parent company, experience, long hours, and sacrifice. I would say that Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush, remember, Microsoft themselves said that it was a breakout hit in all key measurements, and now that is obviously being dug up, that people are just like, bro, did you just straight up lie to us about the success of Hi-Fi Rush? Why did Tango just get shut down if Hi-Fi Rush was a success in all key measurements? And by all accounts, Hi-Fi Rush wasn't this super expensive game. And because we can't really analyze the metric success of Hi-Fi Rush directly because we don't have those stats as far as Game Pass is concerned, and I don't even know how Microsoft themselves assess those stats. But if it was released as a regular game, I don't know how it would have sold, but I know from a quality standpoint, and more importantly, I think for Microsoft, Hi-Fi Rush was the type of game that it would be great to have more of because it builds goodwill with the audience, and Microsoft has eroded goodwill for so long as far as their game output. Hi-Fi Rush was actually one of those games that built goodwill for them, and then they shut down Tango. As much as I sometimes crap on PlayStation's first party in 2024 and 2023, it's because I have such high expectations from PlayStation that I do crap on them. When you have higher expectations and they're falling short, even if they are better than the competition, I'm gonna be harder on PlayStation versus Microsoft. Microsoft, I expect trash, we get trash, so I'm not that surprised. Hi-Fi Rush was an actual good product by them that surprised a lot of people and built a lot of goodwill. And what do we get for it? We get the studio shut down. And prior to Hi-Fi Rush, Tango did 3 back-to-back great games. Evil Within 3 is never gonna happen. Ghostwire, I don't know if that game was really set up to get a sequel, but that game will never be continued upon. And now Tango just goes to the wayside. And let's not just, I get it that some people, the hardcore Xbox fans, want to be like, oh, Arcane Austin put out Redfall and you guys crapped on that. Why do you guys care that they're getting shut down? Oh, maybe because they put out Prey 2017 and that game was awesome and that game deserves a sequel as well. And you would think with the immense amount of backing that Microsoft has, that Arcane Austin would get another shot to do another big game, because Redfall is seemingly a game, I don't know the exact story of how that game came to be, but that seemed more so, from what I can tell, pushed on Arcane Austin by ZeniMax to do something live servicey. Why not take a risk? Go back to Prey 2. Try to build some goodwill with your audience, because you've eroded so much of that from a first-party standpoint, because your game output has been non-existent. It has been non-existent. I thought Starfield was an okay game, and I thought it got crapped on a little bit too much, but I think most people view Bethesda Game Studios from an open world standpoint. I mean, they're a little bit, I don't want to say washed, because I still thought Starfield was okay, but they're a far cry from what they were, and that is a game that everybody knew was coming and initially expected to be multi-platform, and then after the acquisition, it kind of just got baked into being an exclusive, you know, mid-development. It was gonna come out on PS5. Hi-Fi Rush was was announced after the acquisition of Bethesda. It came out as an exclusive. It was a new title, and it was a game that actually built a lot of goodwill with the audience, and you need games like that. You need those smaller games that aren't super expensive, the AA games that are created by, you know, a small staff, but they turn out to be absolutely fantastic games. And who knows, maybe they'll put out a Avowed and it'll be great. Maybe the Indiana Jones game, which I've been vocal about, I don't think that game looks very good, but we'll see. Maybe it'll turn out to be really good. But it is just insane to me. And the Helldivers 2 studio CEO noted, I don't understand the closure of Tango Gameworks. I mean, why close instead of divest? Surely the team would easily have been able to find a new home. Yeah, why not just sell off Tango if you feel like that? And there's been a lot of pushback. Kyle Rowley, Team Time Pirate Ninja, we took a lot of inspiration from both Evil Within and Evil Within 2 when developing Alan Wake 2. They are both excellent horror games, and I'm very sad we will not get to see a continuation of the franchise from Tango Gameworks. We have open positions at Remedy Games, so please get in touch. And obviously, Microsoft has been on an acquisition spree, but if they're just gonna go on an acquisition spree to shut down major studios like the Tango shutdown, it is inexcusable. It is indefensible. At the very least, with Arcane Austin, if you want to look at Redfall and you want to say that game ended everything, fine, whatever. The other two studios that they shut down hopefully will be baked into like other studios and will get migrated in, but Tango is just being outright shut down. Arcane Austin outright shut down, and Arcane Austin, there's at least a semblance of an argument that you can make if you really thought that Redfall was this disaster and they deserve to get shut down for that. I would disagree heavily, because why not give them another shot? Especially, Prey is one of those games that has developed a cult following over these last few years. Why not let them just do a Prey 2? Especially because Microsoft needs games like that in their portfolio. They need games that are gonna build goodwill with the gaming audience, and games that actually make you go a little bit like, wow. And I then Hi-Fi Rush did a little bit of that. As a smaller scale release, I thought it did a little bit of that, but you need more outings like that. I just feel like it's an absolute clown show over there. So there you go with that. Again, this is just an absolutely depressing story, and I can talk about it ad nauseum because you guys know how I feel about Hi-Fi Rush. When that game was announced for PS5, and a lot of people were like, oh, these are the Xbox games we're getting on PS5. I'm like, guys, you guys don't know what you're on. Hi-Fi Rush is just as good as any game that you can play. I get it that it has a $30 price tag. I get it that it's got a bit more of a cartoony look, and maybe the art style isn't for everybody, but it is a tremendous, tremendous game. And that came out on PS5 and then immediately shut down, is Tango Gameworks. But my rambling is over. That is gonna do it for me, and I feel like Microsoft absolutely deserves all the crap that they're getting, because, like, come on, man, you guys are gonna say Hi-Fi Rush was a key hit, or a hit on all key measurements and expectations, then shut down the studio right after porting the game to PS5. You're gonna say that these small games are necessary, and then shut down a studio that made one of the best small games in recent memory. And we'll see how 2024 rolls out for Microsoft, but I saw somebody comment this. Guys, Ninja Theory could be next. If they shut down Ninja Theory, I am going to be sick to my stomach, because I don't foresee Hellblade 2 being this blow-away game. I don't foresee that game crushing it out of all, in all metrics, so to speak. Hellblade 1 came out back in 2017. This game has had a long development cycle, and I imagine that a lot of money was spent to make Hellblade 2 a reality. If that game isn't a success, is Ninja Theory on the chopping block as well? Because Ninja Theory is incredibly talented, and that would absolutely suck, but I digress. That's gonna do it for me. I know a little bit all over the place, but sound off with your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.